No cap allowed, better check that at the door. We speak what they think, but be scared to explore. It's bold, it's real, every word got weight. This the no cap room, where the truth don't wait. No cap room, we don't care who get mad. Only real talk here, no fiction, just facts. It's honesty, raw, unfiltered with proof. If you scared of the truth, then this ain't for you.
What's up, y'all? This is the No Cat Room where we say what y'all afraid to say. And we don't care if you get mad either. We're going to speak our mind and speak our truth. That's right. Today, I have Marcel joining me, and we are talking about parenting in 2025. Yo, it's rough. Let's get into it. The conversation that I just had, okay, about these kids today, they want to talk about how, oh, it's hard for us, everything is more expensive. I told them the other day, listen, we were making $5 an hour, $7 an hour, but I'm gonna tell you what I believe the difference is. The difference is we wasn't trying to impress the whole damn world. It probably could have just been the people in our neighborhood. Social media got them
Exactly.
competing with people in Spain,
Exactly.
people in China, people all in every damn state, every 52 states in the US and outside the country. They trying to keep up with everybody. So the minute that they go on social media, it looks like the world is living their best life and they are missing the fuck out. And they put all that pressure on us, their parents, and we trying to survive and keep our head above water and hold it down and keep the family together. And they're draining the fuck out of us by being unappreciated, okay? By not giving a damn, by trying to live off of us and drain us from everything we got financially, emotionally, and on all freaking levels. And I'm sick of it.
And I second that. And this is what's happening. False self images is being created. People masquerading esteem, low self esteem, and trying to get on the internet thinking that they higher and than what the esteem really says they are. It's a shame because it's really it's the social media that's one of the big parts of the problem here. Influencing people and they taking everybody else's advice, over their parents' advice.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they the parents. They think they the parents. They try to give us advice and tell us what we should be doing and how we should be thinking and how we should be acting. It's
Exactly.
ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. It's sad at the same time, but we got to take a stand as parents because we're speaking this individually, but I know there's many parents who can relate, who got their own stories, their own
Yes.
testimonies, and it's probably some of the same things, the same feelings they have, some of the same exact things. You can't get them to take out a trash. You live there in the home, and you don't want to take out the trash without having an attitude. You actually looking for a reward to take out trash, but you live
Yes.
there.
Not a,
You can't
Mhm.
clean up, you can't cook, you can't clean your room, but you want to act like your room is an individual department.
Mm.
This is what goes on in my house. You can't, they don't contribute to the food in the house, but order out and then don't ask you, do you want to eat? And then when they don't feel like ordering out, then they looking for the food that you cook. you know, you know, I mean,
Where did we
these,
go wrong? Where did we go wrong?
I don't think we went wrong anywhere. Well, let me say this. I think we we went wrong in this aspect. We didn't want to be drill sergeants. Didn't want to be militaristic. We had a vision, and I'm speaking of me and you personally because I know of us.
Mm-hmm.
We was a little soft-hearted because didn't want our kids to have a hard time like we had. And I think that's probably the case for a lot of parents who think that way. Like, well, let me try to give them an easier way. Whereas though I was put out at the age of 15 with no regard to how I'm gonna survive. It was like you just got to get the hell out. You disrespect my home, you got to get out.
Right.
Quite sure my mom was probably concerned and she prayed, but it, it wasn't enough to make her say, "Okay, come back." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff that they're getting away with today, they would not have gotten away with. Not even close. They would not have gotten away with. The first sign of disrespect, he was out, or unappreciation, he was out. So it's a different era how we grew up because we wasn't exposed to social media. Number one, our value system was not as materialistic as it is now. We had
Hmm.
some materialism, but like you said, we was trying to impress a small group of people, like your neighbors, or
Right.
just not the whole world and stuff like that. And I think we were even in trying to impress. It was a sense of realness that we had about ourselves because we had an identity of who we were or who we were trying to be. I think right now, when it's oversaturated with so many different personalities and people around the world, and most of them fake,
Yes.
then it's hard to live up to that, and it's hard to try to keep up with that. So you got everybody competing out here for what kind of type? What are they? What are they? Who they competing against and what? Because everybody fake.
I'm gonna tell
It's
you
like
this: they're competing with, like you just said, with other fake people trying to out fake the fake, right?
out
And
fake the
out
fake.
fake the fake. And the crazy thing is, like, and I always say this, is nothing but the followers following the follower. You
The
understand what I'm saying?
followers.
The
Mhm.
followers following the follower. And it's just, it's very hard. I have to say, it is extremely hard in today's time. We talk in 2025 to be a parent of young kids, of teenagers, and 20-year-olds. And I can't speak, and I'm going to say even probably close to 30. It's very, very hard to be a parent in these times because we are literally fighting against raising our kids with the morals that we know to do the best that we can. Are we perfect? No, we are not perfect. But at the same time, we're not horrible either. Now, something that we can't speak for everybody. I'm sure that there are some parents out there who are not good parents. There's some parents out there who are not good. But what about parents like us that are good, that do try to do certain things for our kids and create a household and say, hey, we're not going to
Well,
kick you out of the house. You could stay here for as long as you want to get on your feet so that when you leave, you're in a great position where you're not struggling. But they force us to tell them you got to go because they don't want to respect your house, respect your rules. They want to eat up the food, have their boyfriend or girlfriend eat up the food. They don't want to contribute shit to the household. And when they do contribute something, it's not that much. And they think they did something major and they're going to make sure they
exactly.
tell you what they did as if it's a big
Right.
deal.
Right.
Like you wouldn't have been able to do it without them. Like you live in my house.
Right.
What the hell is going on? I've got to tell you, as
Right.
a mother, I am so sick of this.
Right.
I am sick. And the crazy
Right.
thing is, and let me just say this, the crazy thing is, we are a
Mm-mm-mm.
two-parent household. Some people would say in a two-parent household, everything should be okay. Things should be easier. Things should look like
It
this.
should be.
People have a false way of looking at things. They think that it's going to be easier, but it's not. And it's, I could talk on so many, I don't know if you have something else to say, but it's on so many levels on why it is not as easy as people think it is, even when you have two parents in the household
Well,
in
let me say
today's
this.
time.
Well, let me interject on that thought real quick. Now, the reason why some people think that way because traditionally and based on statistics, it has proven to be the case that it is a good thing. It's a good thing to have with kids being raised. Number one, in a two-parent household has historically and statistically proven to do better in school, do better in life. But I think where the problem comes in that now, in this times we living in now, is that everybody is lumped all in together now. Where before, right? So, for example, when you had the single parent homes back then versus two-parent homes, and you didn't have the social media, right? You didn't have people able to communicate as freely as they do now amongst one another. And
Hmm.
so it's like that the value system was different. So people realized the struggle. Like when you were growing up in a single parent household, didn't have your other parent there, you realize the struggle. So there was a difference between kids that were struggling and who understood it was a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
They respected the struggle. The parents wasn't as what word I'm looking for, as I don't not that they wasn't patient, they just wasn't tolerant. They wasn't as tolerant as we are today. We're more tolerant, and I think that's part of the problem, in the sense that we want the best for them because we didn't grow up that way. We didn't. A lot
Right.
of us didn't have the two-parent household, so we'd be like, okay, we want to show them it's better to have two parents. We want to give them the things that we didn't have, so we want to be more tolerable, more patient, and in doing so, we were also, I would say, spoiling them a little bit too much, because we probably overlooked things that our parents wouldn't have overlooked. They was more stricter, more tougher, because times was tough.
Mm-hmm.
And we made, some people say, well, the parents did a lot of stuff that was wrong, how they raised kids today, some of the things they said, some of the things they did, and they used the excuse that times was tough. Like, for example, my mother, personally, she didn't say that she loved us all the time. I barely heard the word. You know what I mean? That I
Mm-hmm.
love you. And I said to myself that I would say that I love my kids more verbally, you
Right.
know?
Me too.
And I would do things differently, how my parents did, but they showed love in different ways, by making sure you had food on your table, clothes on your back. They disciplined you. They beat you when they had to discipline you and beat you. So I say that growing up like that versus now, where we let a lot of things slide, or we not even so much let things slide, we just did things a little bit differently because of how we was raised. We kind of like took our foot off the gas pedal a little bit, hoping and believing that our kids, wouldn't get lost in the sauce. Like,
Well, let me
okay,
say. Oh, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
no, go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say is, I hear what you're saying and totally agree. The only thing when we say we took our foot off, when you say we took our foot off the gas, right? Let's think about this. We want to provide a lifestyle for them that we feel we didn't have.
Hmm.
And by doing that, s- I don't know if it was always the right thing. Now, I'm going to be totally blunt here. As Black people, if you Black and you tuned in, you know that we would look at white kids and how they talk to and treat their parents. And we would laugh and we would joke like, yo, I
Hmm.
can't believe, look at them. Look at how they act in the supermarkets.
Hmm.
Comedians would make fun of it and then say, ooh,
Right.
Black kids would never do that. But Black kids are doing that now
They're
because
doing
times
that
have
now.
changed. Exactly.
Yep.
Times has changed. But the issue is, the question is, not the issue. The question is, who is actually doing it the wrong way? Was it our parents or is it us? And I'm gonna tell you what I think. I'm saying that for people to think about that question because a lot of times I know we would say, oh, we like to complain about what our parents didn't do. But you know what it made us do? It made us have to go out here, learn, be self sufficient, and build character.
Exactly.
Build character.
Right. That's
So
what I was
these
going to get
kids,
to. Yep.
yeah, these kids don't
Hmm.
have no character. So we feel bad to push them out there. But I'm going to use this, even though it's a movie, even though it's a movie, I'm going to use this as an example. That Ray Charles movie, I think it was Ray Charles, when he
Yeah, it
fell
was.
and
Right.
and the mother went to go run for him and then she stopped. And then he
Hmm.
was like, Mama, Mama. She went to go run because, of course, we are rescue parents like she was about
Hmm.
to be, trying to go help our
Hmm.
kids because we love them so much and we don't want to see them feel no pain that we ever felt. But now, when she stopped, he had to figure it out. And then he started saying, I can hear you and I hear this. Now he had to actually think for himself and start moving around.
Mm.
We're not doing
Hmm.
that. So we are part of the problem and part of the
Yes.
blame as to why our kids are the way that they
Absolutely.
are today, on top of
Absolutely.
social media, on top of social media, on
Yep.
top of society. it it's our actions too. And I don't know which way to go with it anymore. Like people might look at me and think that things are perfect, but no, I am struggling like hell when it comes to my kids. I feel lost.
That was a perfect analogy using that movie scene because just to emphasize on that a little bit more,
Mhm.
that was a what we would call tough love and a tough lesson, and it propelled him to become who he was
Mhm.
today. I believe in that. If that moment didn't occur, because remember the key word that she said to him, she said, "I can't let, don't let nobody." Later on, she said, "Don't let nobody make you a handicap." See,
Yes.
he could have, if she would have continued to help him, he would have been a handicap. And that would have shaped his character, right? And
Yeah.
that would have caused him to be leaning on his mother. He wouldn't have
Mhm.
developed the character necessary to survive and use his handicap as a crutch. And here it is that the lack of tough love that we exhibited to our children, and I remember when I personally, right, when I used to make my kids get in the corner and people were like, yeah, black people did that. I mean, I was mean. I was mean to my, some people would say I was mean to my kids, right? Some people would say that. When I say mean, I'm talking about as far as discipline, not just
Mhm.
mean for no reason, not showing them love, not feeding them, not that. I'm saying militaristic. I was very militaristic towards my kids at one time, and they
Mhm.
was excelling, but what happened is I got kind of soft with them. I did. I got kind of soft with them. And I saw that by getting kind of soft with them, now when you look back in retrospect, I see how that has hindered them. And I remember telling them that me and my wife told them one day, we said, listen, we're not going to be like the other parents were, like our parents were. We don't believe in putting y'all out when y'all 18. You
Mhm.
know, we believe in allowing y'all to get yourselves together first, stay here, build your credit up, build it. That probably was the worst thing to tell them. That probably, you know why? Because when we told them that, they start relaxing. They start
Mhm.
becoming too comfortable. We put faith in our children and we expect them to one day get it and be like, okay, they're gonna get it like we get it. They're just gonna get it and they should do this because this what we would do. No, now, but it don't work that way. I'm starting to see because you'll say, okay, if we go along with that plan, letting them stay here and they build, there's going to be a certain time when they be like, okay, I got it. I move on, and but it seemed like they're not getting it is because sometimes people need to be propelled. They need to kick up their ass. Like
Right.
sometimes you got to throw them out there and make them build character by surviving, like she did, like the Ray Charles allegory you did. You know, that's the perfect example
Mhm.
of throwing him out there. Remember, she took him to the school. He was crying when the bus came. He was like, "Mom, please, I don't want to go." And it hurt her to let him go, but she knew that she had to do it to make him become the best person version of himself, the best person he could be. He would have never became the Ray Charles who we know of today, the talented musician that he became. He would never became that, I believe, if she didn't do that. So the tough love angle, I believe, is something that play a part in it. I believe that's why when I say foot off the gas a little bit, I should have never told them that, even if I believed that in my heart. I should have never uttered those words. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I think they took it and they ran with it. And you know, anytime you got kids buying new cars, right? When they had an opportunity to buy a house, is a perfect example of being afraid. um, you know, you want to try to act like you the man, but you don't really want to be the man. You want to try to act like you the woman, but you really won't want to try to be the woman.
Yeah,
You
because
know what I
the
mean?
man and the woman, that comes with a hell of a lot of responsibilities that you have to
Exactly.
uphold. It goes beyond just looking like you're okay on
And looking
social
like it.
media. You have to
Hmm.
actually be okay.
You,
You
you have to
understand?
do it. And as long as you got a crutch, like Ray Charles' crutch was, his mother. You know what I mean? As long as you got that crutch, which I have put myself, speaking of me, in that position, because my children are not children. I'm using the word children just for the simple fact that I'm their parent, but they're grown. I got one daughter who, you know, if the bad thing is this, when you set that precedent and you set that pattern, right? Then you got the ones coming from under them looking at that too. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's not a
Yep.
good example for them. And they ease right into that same kind of thing. And
Absolutely.
and it becomes tougher because then they'll be like, well, they didn't have to do it. Why, So it's like it's like you said, there's a lot of layers to it to peel back on, but you're right. One of it is have a lot. When you ask the question, did we do it wrong? I don't think that the parents did it wrong. I think it's a combination of the times we're living in, and the children versus the time. Because I believe that if the same style of parenting was done in this time, it would have been more a struggle too, because you got to realize if social media would have been up against that. We didn't have the parents of yesteryear didn't have that. The
Yeah.
parents in the past didn't have that. You
I
know,
get
nothing challenging them.
right. You know what I'm concerned, I guess what, it's so many different issues going on with this generation coming up now, and I find myself struggling trying to figure out what is the solution, because see, the times are, everything is digital. So to remove them from a phone or social media is also removing them from, you know, certain information and certain things that they might have access to. So there's a good and there's a bad in it, because see, social media is not what's wrong. What's wrong is the people behind those buttons and behind
Right.
that, because I use social media to myself and I'm on it a lot, and I use it for a lot of good. I use it to promote, I use it to network, I use it for business, I use, AI for certain things, and we are and could be afraid of certain things when it comes to evolution. But at the same time, it's like, okay, some things are good and some things are bad. But I'm trying to find that medium, that solution to the problem of how do we deal with these kids of today's time? How do we undo what we have already done, which was create a bunch of spoiled, ungrateful, lack of accountability, entitled kids that
Well,
are
let me
that, and
say
I call them
this.
kids, but they're young adults. That's what I'm looking for, the answer for that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, there is no answer for that because you can't undo. This is not what can I compare to that? This is not like a mechanical issue where you can undo something and fix it and get it right like that. It's not that simple because we're talking about behaviors that has developed from kids to adults where, you know, it's too late in a sense to undo it. You know what I mean? Because it's already been done. You know what I mean? Now, moving forward, you would with children coming up now and nowadays, that's probably where they're at their impressionable age of 5 and 6. You would start there and try to redo things. But for the people that's already 20 and 25 and we're calling them children, we can't do nothing about it. It's already done. They already been influenced, and we just gotta hope that they get it one day, that they will wake up one day and realize the error in their ways, because preaching to them, talking to them, it's not going to do anything. I believe that. I believe that it's not going to do anything because they got too many influences, you know, um, in the world. Their minds are so distracted. You know what I mean? They don't really get a chance to really sit down, and they would have to have some sense of um what word I'm looking for. I'm looking they would need to have a sense where they're not surrounded by the noise. Like they need to find a secluded place where they can just get into themselves and evaluate themselves, and that means taking away getting off the grid. But as long as you connected to this grid, then you're going to be your sensory nerves in itself is wired with all types of shit out here that's got you influenced here, there. Their mind is all over the place because everything is coming at you to influence you this way, that way.
Mm-hmm.
So their mind is constantly working. So the solution is to require some sort of detachment from the grid where you can really sit down, because a lot of them don't see the error in their ways. They really don't.
They don't.
There's too much shit going on around them, and they trying to weave their way and maneuver their way through life.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the main ways they do it is through the social media and watching what everybody else do. um you spent years trying to shape them, trying to influence them with values that we've picked up, that we've learned, and you try to transfer it to them so they can take it into their life. But they take some of it, right? But a lot of the stuff that they were taught, and now that they can think for themselves, so to speak, um, you know what I'm saying? Is like it just nullified all of the shit that we taught them.
Yeah.
Not all of it, because they maintain some of it, but it's like they want to learn their way. They want to do things their way. And
And that
that's why I
and
say,
that's oh, sorry. Mm-hmm.
no, go ahead. I was just going to say that's why I'm saying it's going to be hard to be undone, because it's already built up in them so much. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they would have to be totally detached. And it's like you got to start over, like tear them the fuck down just to build them back up.
Mm. You know,
And,
it's funny you
you know,
say that because I used to use that terminology with like black people in America and racism. It's like it was already a seed that was planted, and you can't
mhm.
just like something that grows back, right? You can't just chop it off at the top, forgetting about the root that's going to continue to grow. That same
Right.
flower is going to come right back up. So you got to dig it
Like
up
cancer.
and eliminate that and now replant
Mhm.
the seed. You know what I mean? But the thing is, it's like we're fighting against all these people on social media that they run to and listen to as they scroll and
Mhm.
scroll and scroll on TikTok, on Instagram, and YouTube, and Facebook, and whatever platform they're using. As they continue to
Mhm.
scroll through these things, there's so many different influences that is on social media telling them who they should be, how they should be, what they should look like, what's popular, what's trending now, who's talking about this, how this person is dressing, who's breaking up, who's and then they're telling people how they should be parenting. And then they're telling the kids what parenting should look like. First of all,
It's
what's sad about that is that everybody they could be taking advice from somebody that live in a different country where their laws and their morals and everything is different. Some people arrange marriages for their kids. We're not doing that. Well, not everybody here. You know what I mean? So if we're not following that, you can't follow everything that you see on social media and try to apply that to your everyday life.
right. It's easy to say that, but think about this for a second. If you really think about this might kind of sum it all up. Remember the movie The Matrix? So The Matrix is a semblance. It's a fucking program,
Right.
right? And the whole society is programmed, right, to live according how the matrix, how the programmers made it.
Yeah.
So everything is make believe, and Neo was outside of the matrix. Well, he understood that there was this matrix, when a lot of people that was caught in the matrix didn't know that they were programmed. So, in
Right.
other words, what everyone's influenced, and they're going a part of the program.
Right.
They're programming kids how to learn. They're programming parents how to parents, That's why kids coming back to their parents, they're rebelling, they're telling their parents how they should be raised according to what? According to the program. And
Right.
then when you go, even if you're not on social media for the day, it's reinforced in society. So when
Yes.
I go to work, it's there. When I go
Hmm.
to the gym, it's there. When I go to the bar or the restaurant or the club, it's there. It's all around us. So much so that it affects every part of your life.
We have to
Is it?
detox. I mean, look, so I gotta, I know the movie. And I know it, and I know what it represents, what it's about, and all of that. I gotta watch it again because I don't know it like I can't
It's,
recite lines if that makes sense from the movie,
yeah,
but I know the
it's
movie.
deep.
But we have to find a way to detox from this society that is influencing all of
Yeah,
us
yeah,
in a
so,
negative way. Not
yeah.
because think about this. Even though we had struggles growing up, we even knew how to communicate and socialize better with each other. But now these kids are so stuck on talking online that people just feel comfortable to say and do anything to anybody. There's no remorse or no consequence at
Mhm.
that time. And now things are so crazy that people are wilding out in the street. I don't know if you've seen, and not to get off topic, but I don't know if you've seen that guy that shot the husband and wife out there in Vegas because he felt his views was going down and he was doing a video,
Yeah.
a TikTok thing. And
Yep.
yeah, so
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
we're dealing with so many different people, but I'm gonna
Hmm.
tell you something.
Shit is
Mental
crazy.
health is extremely like it. I see it. It's bad. It's bad. And when I say mental health, I'm talking about the bad part of the mental health with people. And I believe
Hmm.
that it is attached to people not having that village of people of support, because although we struggled before, there was more of a village. The village don't really totally exist now you just have neighborhoods and individual families in their home separated,
Well, that was
not many
part of the
people.
program. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No, no,
off, but
no, go ahead.
that's part of the program. See, there's people behind this shit. They know exactly what they're doing. So the reason there is not a village because once you start making cell phones, right, and all these different technological so-called advances, what that do? That detach people from self and from
Mm,
reality. So what happens is now you got people texting, they're not talking. The closeness that you once had, in order to have a village meant you had individuals who was close. It was close knit. Now you can have people in the house together and they separate. They can be 5 feet apart, but they distant. You know what
yes.
I mean? There's
Hmm.
no communication. There's no talking. So it was done by a plan. So the village is there, so to speak, in terms of the people is there. Like I use the house analogy. The people are there. You got people that do support. There are family members that are there. But you know what it is? People are caught up so much into individualism so much. That's why. And then when you're trying to live a life to other people's standard. You're trying to out fake the fake. You're trying to be this. You're trying to be that, and it puts pressure. That comes with pressure because you got to live up to standards. That's unreal.
Mm.
You living up to standards that don't even fucking exist. Because some people don't even have these damn standards. They fake. You know what I mean? But you got to live up to them. So that the guy that shot somebody because of his own family because he didn't get likes because that's from pressure. That's pressure. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I believe the village is there because look. You don't wouldn't you call you and your husband a village?
Yes.
Wouldn't you call your mother, right?
Yes.
Right. Your kids have a good support system. My kids have a good support system. You know, and Me and you both can say that there is not as bad as a lot of kids we know and a lot of kids we hear
Oh, of
of.
course, of
You know what I
course.
mean?
It could be worse. We
Yeah,
know
it could
that.
be worse. We have done some things that has been instilled in them that keep them from going, falling all the way off the edge of the volcano. They still walking on the edge of it, but they ain't fall over
Hmm.
because it's still some of the things that we have taught them that they still, adhere to, and they haven't fallen all the way over like that. So, I believe that the village there is there in some cases, and then in some other cases is not. I do agree, total when you look at things totally, that concept of village isn't there. That's because it was programmed for the families to be disintegrated. It was programmed for it not to be no community. There is programmed for more individual. If you think about it, everybody is individualistic. The
Hmm.
mentality of individualism is there. And the American economy is built on individualism anyway.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's being propagated even more through the media, social media, radio media, print media. Everyone is for themselves. You got these only fans out here, women. You know what I mean? It's all about self more than it ever been.
You
More
know
than it
what?
ever been.
Let me say this. It's funny that you say that because you made me think of something. When you said it's by design, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna use this as an example when we talk about like families and how it is in a household. Now, when we think about music, right? And I'm using music because I'm into music, so that's the best term. That's the best
Mhm.
example I can give. So
Mhm.
m- back in the day, music in rap music, it had messages. Yeah, there was you had some things that were talking a little bad here and there, but for the most part, hip hop was the news to let the world know what was going on in the hood, so they could tell their own story. But also, you had a group of people that were together. Let's think of like a Public Enemy and the Chuck D's and stuff like that, where there were people who were building together. We had the Black Panthers. We had all of this stuff, right? Where unity was thriving, and unity and people together is power, right? Now,
Mhm.
now they don't like that. So when you start to see what unity could do, now they said, okay,
Exactly.
give the household. See, this is how they going to
Mhm.
destroy the
Mhm.
people, because they got to get in the household first. So now, if
Yep.
you can separate the household, if you can cause single parents, and the woman don't need a man, and then the man don't want the woman, and blah blah blah, you
Exactly.
create all this stuff. Now
Preach.
you got a whole broken family, right? In the household. It makes it better. Now,
Mhm.
okay, everybody's all about getting money. Now,
Divide and conquer.
now, yes, now that we're putting that, the money is over everything else. It's over the family values. It's about
Yep.
the outshining the Joneses and everybody else. And you know what I'm saying? So now it's
Facts.
that rat race of trying to outdo somebody else to make it look like you living and everything is perfect in your life, right? Now what happens? You got the big house and everybody's separated in it, and
Separated it.
everybody is in their own room. Everybody, we think we're winning, but sometimes the people in that little small
Uh,
house, sometimes the people in the shack is way more happier than the people in the big houses. I listened to Taraji P Henson say on an interview, I can't remember who the interview was with, it might have been on the Breakfast Club, I don't know, but I heard her say, every night I go home to my millions of dollar mansion, however millions it is, overlooking the cities and the mountains in LA. And this is the most miserable time I ever felt in my life. This is the most depressing time of
right.
my life. She said, I am not happy. I was more happy
Right.
when I was where I was at. I say that
Mhm.
to say this. I think some of the things, and I look at myself when I'm saying this, sometimes we get so caught up in trying to live that American dream they sold us,
Hmm.
about trying to be we
That's
becoming
exactly what it
capitalism
is.
type of people and ways of thinking, because everything is run, 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 get. I need this, I gotta do this,
Hmm.
I gotta have that, I gotta have, and we forget to live. So if we're running and we're doing all this, I mean, technically, do we blame our kids for that? Maybe they learned that shit from us.
Yeah. Well, they learned it from us, but we were programmed. So now they're being programmed. Everything is all about a program. You know what I mean? Everything is all about a program um, that has been laid. We're just following. The reason it's a program because you got too many people doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And when you got too many people doing the same thing, that means it was planned. Okay, it was studied and it was test dummies was used, and then they laid the foundation down. You know what I mean? And it's going exactly as according to plan. That's how America is today, and that's just why a lot of other countries realize it, and they don't want the social media. And I'm not blaming social media for everything because before social media came, they still had other ways of programming through television, through music, and still so today. It's just so social media is even an added tool, uh, and that was something that they threw out there and was like, wow, we ain't imagine it would be this great. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
it's even more powerful of a tool. And like you said, individualism. Uh, you know, the family values, the togetherness, the closeness. People inside the home, they are actually literally thinking about themselves. No one's thinking about the concept of the home anymore.
Exactly.
They're thinking
Exactly.
about how I'm going to how I'm going to make it. Individually, they
Exactly.
don't give a fuck about what the parents got to do, what the father or mother got to do, even the brother or sister. There's no sense of family value no more. It's like, okay, I got to make it at any cost, even if I shit on my parents, even if I use my parents, use my brother,
And,
use
and
my
in
sister.
their words, finesse their parents because they love them.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I'm
finesse their
finessing him.
parents.
You know, it's
Finesse-
funny. It's funny
wow.
that you say that because I was trying so hard to do the Sunday dinners, the Sunday brunches. And when I say brunches, I'm talking about family. I'm not talking about to anybody outside the household. The certain events and things I'm doing. I'm talking about family values, getting all
Mm-hmm.
the stuff, having all the things to do in my house to make sure that my kids don't want for much or anything. And
Hmm.
I started looking and I said, you, it's funny because we have all of this stuff, but they barely even use it. So I had to say, it's a couple of things that I said. And this is to the parents out there who work very hard to provide for their kids and feel the way that I feel. Here is what you got to understand. And this is what I said to them. We have to learn to appreciate what we got with each other, just like we had to do during COVID when we couldn't go outside and do all that. You had to learn how to appreciate each other. There's no reason why we got to wait for other people to come around to enjoy the stuff that we got. That means that is it for show for them? Or you're like, what are we doing? Because I'm tired of getting stuff to please other people. And I'm gonna give you an example of this. Before, when we were living at the other house, um we had a minivan and we did not
Hmm.
want to get another car because we kept saying, what about when we got to give this person a ride and these people are with us? And then it hit me one day. I said, we
Hmm.
are actually living our life to please other people on what we could do with them while they doing whatever the hell they want to do. And that's what I'm trying to tell them in this house is we got
Facts.
most of the things that we have in our house, and this is not me saying this to be bragging. I'm not doing in that sense. I'm saying this to point out that a lot of things that people paid to go do outside their house that they don't have,
You have there.
we have it here. And I be
Uh,
looking at them like, what's wrong with y'all? They don't even appreciate it. So see, things don't even matter. But I try to take the things and say, let's enjoy our time together, given something to do. But it ain't enough. It's not
uh,
enough. I don't know what to do anymore.
well, I'm blessed to have kids. I keep saying kids, young. We get used to saying
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah. It's
but
our young adults.
young adults. But for those who listening, like that's just a play on words. They always going to be forever be our kids.
Yes.
Okay. But just for the sake of words, we saying kids, even though some may be kids and some may be adults. Um, I'm blessed to have them who like to stay home. And so in your situation, Teresa, they would love to have that, because that's perfect for them because they don't go nowhere. And what you have built in your home to have everything in there as far as you really ain't got to go nowhere. You got everything that's needed for entertainment,
Everything but a pool. We don't have a pool though.
relaxation. Okay, but still, you got a lot of stuff that I know with my own eyes that's there. And like you said, you did all that for them. You know what I mean? You did that for you too, but you did it for them mainly. You was grinding, you put the work in, and it's a shame that the appreciation isn't there. It isn't there. Like kudos to you for still doing it. See, we can only be responsible for what we do and not how other people feel. When people say you're responsible for how people feel, it depends because you know you can't control how a person feel in every situation. You know, and that's one of the cases. You came from a good place. You did what you did to provide for the kids so that they don't have to go outside of the home and rely on that stuff outside of the home. You did everything to make them comfortable. If they don't appreciate it, that's not your fault because you did all that you were supposed to do, and other things got to them. Other things got their interest, and don't beat yourself up for that.
Yeah.
When we just doing an evaluation on why their kids in general are like that. Some would appreciate that what you gave, and it's just unfortunate, and some wouldn't because think of the people who are well off and got even more. You know what I mean? Where they
Mm-hmm.
kids can ride around in any kind of car that they want and stuff like that. I'm quite sure that they feel the same way. That's why you and I both know you hear of some rich people saying they wouldn't leave their kids anything. They wouldn't leave them their wealth because they don't appreciate all what they have done and they don't deserve it. And they would, quite frankly, some of them believe that they would squander it. Why would they squander it? Because they don't have no value. They
Right.
didn't do the work. They didn't do the work, and so why do they care? And that's what a lot of the kids are today. They want all the reward for no work. That sense of
Mm-hmm.
entitlement they have that mean when you have a sense of entitlement, like, all right, I don't want to get off topic, right? But I'm gonna get off topic a little bit because it is a parallel that I'm making. And this is with the Mexicans that's rioting over there in LA
Mm-hmm.
and the people that's saying that black people should get involved, right? And my thing is this here, and this ties into the kids. If if you want freedom, freedom without sacrifice leads to entitlement.
Mm.
Freedom without sacrifice leads to entitlement. So Mexicans, y'all want this freedom? Put the work in.
Mm.
Because guess what? If you don't put the fucking work in, you're gonna feel entitled. Here's how. Black people have fought for y'all and other Latinos plenty of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't get it twisted, plenty of times. And what did y'all do to repay us? Y'all gave us y'all ass to kiss. You know why? It's because y'all feel entitled. We
Mm.
don't have when it came to Black Lives Matter, fuck all that, because that became to be a scam anyway. But when we got issues and stuff, y'all feel like y'all ain't got to get involved. Why? Because your attitude is you're entitled. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, when you look at the children, it's the same way. They feel entitled. They didn't put no fucking work in at all. But they want all
Mm.
this freedom to do whatever the hell they want to do, off your back, and still want rewards like they something, like they deserve something more than what the work they put in. So that's why I said freedom without the sacrifice. They're not willing to do the work. They're not willing to make the sacrifice. They got a sense of entitlement because of it. And that's why I was told, especially to my boys, make them leave when they're 18. I thought it was harsh, and I thought that goes against what I believe at the time. But now I'm starting to see the value in that because, you got to make them, you got to throw them out there because they got to work. This generation, and when you say what are some of the
Mm-hmm.
solutions is for the young people coming up, because I think the old ones, you can't tear them down and rebuild them. You got to try to, because this ain't like just tearing a house down and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
rebuilding the house. They got emotions and all. There's a lot of shit going on, with them. So, and a house can't fucking think. A house don't have feelings. It's just wood. So you can manipulate, do what the fuck you want with that. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
people are different. You know what I mean? So it's like the young people, for all the parents listening, your young children that's 5 and 6, that's still under the impressionable age. That's who you have to work on right now. Not saying that you give up on your 25 or 26, 22-year olds, 19-year olds, or whatever. But it's easier. It's going to be harder. It's more challenging. The younger kids that's at an impressionable age that can be shaped, you have to teach them the value of hard work ethic. No matter how much money you make, no matter how good you live, right?
Mm-hmm.
How well off you is, I'm finding out you can't, especially in today's time. Everything is too easily accessible. That's good and bad.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's right at their fingertips. A lot of shit is easy for them to get. Information, materialism, anything they want, they can find out how to get it. You know what I mean? And it's like, we didn't have that option. We had to find things. We had to put the work in. You know what I mean? Now it's like they don't have that. So they don't have that. They got this sense of entitlement, that this microwave society we live in. Shit gotta happen fast and quick. They shouldn't have to work for nothing. They shouldn't have to put time in. Things should be easier. And they don't even think no more for themselves. They let everybody do the thinking for them. Because
Mm-hmm.
thinking for themselves requires too much fucking work.
This
That's the
shit
reality.
is
I'm telling you,
crazy.
this shit is crazy. They can't even think about it. They listen to everybody else.
But
And
us.
when you try to get them to think for themselves, they don't even think. They want to bring something that somebody else told you. What about
Mm-hmm.
with you? What have you thought it out? What do you think? And
Yeah.
don't your thoughts is influenced by a lot of shit that you've been seeing on social media, other people's fake ass lives, when it's just a facade for real. All the entertainers and stuff like that. A lot of them, they don't even got money. A lot of them are struggling.
A lot of them is struggling, and I'm gonna say this, and we're gonna wrap it up, but we're gonna have to do a part two. Cause I'm trying to keep the show to an hour. But this is a good one.
Exactly.
But let me say this:
Mhm.
that a lot of people love to talk about AI and, oh well, all this stuff is fake. But you know what? When I think about it, AI ain't no different than the regular people running around here being fake. What's the difference? You got fake people that's fake, and then you got fake AI.
Exactly.
It is
This
nothing
is a
but a bunch of
program.
fake shit. Yeah, all of this stuff is just freaking fake as hell. If you could give one solution for
Mhm.
the being a parent today, um, for people that is struggling with parenting with young adults, trying to get them to see things in a different light, even though I know we live in different times now. What would it be? What advice would you give?
Tough love.
Mhm.
Tough love. Don't be so willing to give. Um, hold back. Um, be more strict about what your family values are and what you believe. Don't be so compromising. And I think a lot of the times we do that because we forget that we're the parents, and I think sometimes we try to be friends with our kids, or we don't want to upset them subconsciously. Sometime in our mind, I think we want to be in a good place with them. You know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
think that that leads to us being a little bit soft with the gloves. You know what I mean? Because we feel like we don't want to be hard on them and stuff like that. But this time require hardness,
Right.
and they have to endure hardness like a soldier. Like when people go to spring training. I mean, not spring training. What they call it when you join the army. Um,
Boot camp.
boot camp. Yeah, when they go to boot camp, man, the drill sergeant man could be a motherfucker. Some people quit. It makes a break whether people make it or not. They
Mhm.
call them assholes and all that kind of stuff. But you know why? They have to endure the hardness because they're a soldier, and it builds character, and they got to be prepared for war. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because war is society and how it ever changes and the challenges and things that you can face. It's not peaches and cream, like the fake social media world is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything seems like it's easy, that is, it's peaches and cream. No, that's not the real world. That's not the real world. So I would say
Okay.
tough love.
Mhm.
Um, sum it up in two words: tough love. It's
Okay.
still love, but it's just tough. It's
But it's tough.
redefining this love that we giving out today, which
Right.
is really not. If you really want to get deep into it, can you question and say if it's love? Because it's love. It comes with some pain.
Right.
You know what I mean? The love we got when we was younger. Your mom whooped your ass, but she said was showing you she loved you. Because if she didn't do it and let you do what these kids are doing today, they shooting, killing. Parents are scared to say things to their kids and discipline them. So then they looking around in prison like, did my mom love me? Once they mind open up and they wake up and be like, damn, did she really love me? Because if she did, why she let me do this? It's going always, and especially the kids these generation, they have no accountability. When shit don't
Mhm.
go right, they gonna blame the parents.
Yep.
Because you didn't tell me this, you didn't teach me. Well, I tried to, but your ass didn't want to listen.
Just like the Bible. Well,
Mhm.
is that it? Because now I'm gonna say my part,
Yeah,
and then
that's
we
it.
go and claim it. So I would say
Yeah.
I second that emotion on what you said, and I would add to it. Do not be rescue parents. Do not be
Hmm.
rescue parents. Even though, look, I'm still struggling in that area. This is why this is the topic of the show tonight. But don't be rescue parents. Allow your kids to feel consequences for their actions, because if they never feel it, they never know what it's like for themselves to know, I should not be doing this, or I shouldn't, make this decision. And you brought up something else about war, preparing for when you go to boot camp. And there is so
Hmm.
many different levels of training them. But you
Hmm.
said something about war, and I just want to say this before we close it out. When you look at, I've seen other kids and on social media in other countries where they are really like, they're creators of things, they're producers.
Hmm.
They are teaching them how to protect themselves like they are preparing for war. Our kids are over here dancing on TikTok and worrying about all of the things that's going on with these celebrities, being distracted, where we will become the new slaves to all these other countries. I think that we have a
Exactly.
real serious battle, that we are unseen
Yes.
battle that we are fighting right now, and we don't even know that we're losing. We are losing the
Yes.
war. So I think it's a struggle, but it's deeper. It's deeper than what we see and what we're going through. And I definitely want to
Yeah.
on the next show
Yeah, we gonna get
discuss
into
that.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, yes,
But
yes, because many layers more to peel back.
absolutely. So thank everybody for tuning in. This is Lady Miz and Marcel. This is the No Cap Room, where y'all know we keep everything official. There's no capping on this station right here. Make sure y'all tune in for the next show. We out.
Yeah, it's the no cap room. Mad. Yeah, this the no cap room. We don't care who get mad. Only real talk here. No fiction, just facts. It's honesty, raw, unfiltered with proof. If you scared of the truth, then this ain't for you.